Tonight, Joseph Holzer is being inducted into the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. I really wish with all my heart that he was here with us tonight to accept that honor in person. I also know that if he was here, he would congratulate everyone sitting up here on the dais for their contributions to the community that we have here in Cleveland. In his place, his daughter Ilsa is here tonight with her husband Matt, her children, and her grandchildren. Mr. Holzer's grandson Brian will be accepting the award in just a few minutes. If you did not know Mr. Holzer, then I hope my words can convey for you a portrait of the man who was so clearly loved by everyone he knew, by his friends, and by his extended Donauschwaben family. First and foremost, Mr. Holzer was a man who loved his family. He and his wife Francisca were married for 62 years in a loving union. They raised a beautiful daughter in Ilsa. Throughout his life, he loved his family, and he loved to talk about the times that he spent with them. And he would tell us stories of his grandchildren, and most recently, his great-grandchildren. You could see the love in his eyes and hear it in his voice whenever he spoke of them. This past summer, while he was still with us, we were preparing for our annual Oktoberfest up at the club in our office, and one of the computers had the screensaver running, which runs just hundreds of photographs of events at Lena Park. He loved to watch those photographs scroll by. He was right in the middle of telling us some logistical details about setting up tents when he stopped and stared at the screen and just simply nodded and said, "Isn't she beautiful?" When I looked at the screen, I saw that it was a picture of Mrs. Holzer. At that point in time, she had only been gone for about 8 months, and he really, really missed her. But in that simple comment, he conveyed the love that they had shared in all their married years. The other great love of his life was that of his cultural heritage. And with our organization, his extended family at Lena Park are also known as the Donauschwaben's German-American Cultural Center. We are so grateful that his real family allowed him to join us so often, and they shared him with us quite generously. You know, regardless of where in the world we settle, the Donauschwaben people have a habit of bringing along their customs, traditions, their language, no matter where they end up. To that end, Mr. Holzer had a vision. He wanted to create a place that members could call home and where our traditions could be celebrated. He realized that vision in his lifetime. Most of us should be so lucky to accomplish so much in our lifetime. Albert Einstein said, "The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive." In one word, Joseph Holzer was a man who gave. He gave 55 years of service to our organization, and in that time, succeeded in fundraising for and constructing the facility known as Lena Park. Even when work was complete, he continued to volunteer and serve our organization. I can think of no one who accomplished more in what was essentially just his free time. To describe what made Mr. Holzer so incredibly special is difficult. Sure, he has many accomplishments, but that would not even begin to tell the whole story. What is so remarkable about the life that he led is that he managed so many great things, yet always remained a friend to all he knew and worked with. There are many people in positions of power in this world who make it to the top by taking advantage of others. Not Mr. Holzer. He simply had a way of reaching out to people and making friends. His friendships embraced people from all walks of life and included representatives of our other ethnic and public organizations, politicians, and members of the clergy, many of whom are here tonight. His friends lived within our community, across the country, and around the world. To spend any amount of time with him was to have a friend for a lifetime. I have known Mr. Holzer since I was a little girl, and I can still remember thinking at a very young age that this was a very special man. I noticed through the years that Mr. Holzer rarely used the word "I." That alone speaks volumes of his character. Whenever he spoke for our organization, he always used the word "we," and if someone happened to point out one of his contributions, he would shy away from that and always thank all volunteers that helped him along the way. He once explained his leadership strategy to me, saying, "Every organization or project needs a leader, someone to keep their eye on the road. Along the way, the leader has to give encouragement, but also get followers to support one another. Most importantly, he has to be willing to listen and must never forget to show appreciation." Mr. Holzer was not the kind of leader who would give rousing speeches or shout orders at people. He simply led by example, working incredibly hard, guiding willing volunteers along the road that he envisioned. without really intending ever to do so. He became a mentor and a role model to so many of us. Another key to understanding Mr. Holzer was how humble he was and how he really had an altruistic nature. C.S. Lewis said, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less." Quite simply, Mr. Holzer put other people before his own needs. He never pointed out his contributions, and if you tried to honor him, he downplayed his role. Through the years, he was honored on many occasions, but really he preferred to not be in the limelight, not be at the forefront. We were together at Lano Park when he found out that he was going to be inducted tonight. And he just shook his head. He said, "Why are they picking me?" We, of course, all said, "Oh my gosh, we can't think of anyone who deserves it more. Come on, Mr. Holzer." He pointed down, because we were sitting at Lano Park at the table, and he tapped on it and said, "This is what really matters, this place that we have here for our kids and for our future. I don't really need an award for that." In my opinion, he already achieved what amounted to be the best award he could ever have. He left us secure in the knowledge that our Dona Schwaben home here in Cleveland was built to last, and that there was a new generation taking charge and carrying on his legacy and life's work. That's what gave him peace and satisfaction. And so to come full circle, we look at the legacy of Joseph Holzer, a legacy we must now work to continue. In those who follow him, he has instilled an appreciation for our traditions and a commitment to perpetuating our culture. His legacy dates back to when I was a child. Kid, that was the name he called all of us. It didn't matter how old we got, we were kid. And he was probably the only person who could get away with calling us kid. In fact, we loved him all the more for doing so. But he understood what it meant to keep the younger generation involved, and that was what was going to build our future. Sooner or later, we all inevitably leave this life. It's what we do while we are here that matters. Joseph Holzer did much that mattered to so many, and this world would be a much better place if it were filled with more people like him. It's been hard to walk into our club these last few weeks without thinking of his passing, and truthfully, we want to remember him each time we arrive. Joseph Holzer is Lano Park. I think the two names may be synonymous, and as long as the one stands, the other will not be forgotten. Again, we wish to thank the family who shared him with us all these years, and Ilsa, the prayers of all of us and all who knew him are with you and your family. We can all be grateful for the opportunity to have known him, to enjoy the legacy he leaves behind, and for the privilege of carrying on his vision. On Mr. Holzer's behalf, and on behalf of the Dona Schwaben's German American Cultural Center, and all the family and friends who are here tonight, we wish to thank all involved for selecting Mr. Holzer for induction into the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. We wholeheartedly agree that he is worthy of the honor. I hope I have done his legacy justice with my words and leave you with one final thought. People may not remember what you did or what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. We've all heard that before. I believe we will always remember what Mr. Holzer did, and we will remember most of what he said. But most of all, we will forever remember how he made us feel, because he called all of us his friend. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Brian Holzer, his grandson.
Thank you. I'd like to first start off and say thank you to the Cleveland International Hall of Fame for this beautiful dinner we're enjoying tonight, and to all of you for being here and believing in the same things my grandfather did. So on behalf of my grandfather, my family, the German American Cultural Center, the members, the volunteers for this, and also known as Lano Park, I humbly and respectfully accept this honor, and thank you very much.